Hello, my internet friends. Welcome back to Dead Knitter Society. My name is Mira, and I'm going to start this week's episode off. It is December 1st, and as I told you in my last episode, one of the things that I'm kind of bringing back to honor my mom and have her be part of our holidays still is that she used to get us advent calendars when I was a little kid. So this year I got myself an advent calendar. Now, I ordered this from Etsy. I just got in from Vermont. It's cold in my house still, so I'm still wearing my jacket. And I have helmet head, so we're 10 out of 10 appearance here. So one of the things that I learned is that these are individually wrapped for the 25 days of Christmas. One thing I may do next year is maybe invest in like a beautiful handmade actual advent calendar to load these into. Maybe I'll even do that before next year. I don't know. But I ordered this. It's a stitch marker advent from Etsy store Flock Around the Table. I will try and get a link. I actually figured out why I wasn't able to link in the comments. I'm telling you, right now I am learning more about uploading things to YouTube than I am necessarily about my knitting, but whatnot. So Flock Around the Table had a lovely little Merry Christmas note, just noting that save that Merry Christmas package for Christmas Day. And it's very cute. So I thought we could open December 1st. This feels a little nostalgic. I love how cute, the little sticker with the mittens. Adorable. Let's see. Oh, goodness. So in a nice little bag, which is actually, these are going to get reused for organizing stitch markers and other notions. This is super cute. It is like a little like Disney duck. Adorable, adorable. With a little Christmas hat. Here, let me show you. And it is one of the stitch markers that, I can use to like either mark crochet fabric or my knitted fabric to say like, this is the right side. Like, I don't know if you can see. How cute. Adorable. So there we go. Bringing back old traditions to keep Mama with me. I know a lot of people the weekend after Thanksgiving will decorate for Christmas. So my daughter is still at college. My stepdaughter is back with her mom, and my son is with his dad for this week. And I did ask my son when I was dropping him off this evening if he would be mad if I went and got a tree this week, or if he wanted to be part of the decorating and the tree choosing. And he actually said that he wanted to be part of the thing. So I guess I'm not going to be decorating for Christmas until next week. And I might even see if my daughter can come home for an evening so that she can be part of it too. And I'm not quite sure. My husband's going to be out of town next week, so I don't know about getting my stepdaughter here. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Really, I'm glad that I did this. I had a very hard weekend after Thanksgiving. I just miss her. I miss her a lot. So here we'll throw. I keep pictures of her everywhere. It's me, my mama. This is my godmother, Anna. Their families knew each other in Italy, but they did not meet until they were both in the United States, which I think is pretty cool. And then my daughter, Bella. So yeah. All right. I will be back probably tomorrow, maybe with some knitting stuff, but yes, adorable. Do things that bring you joy in the holiday season, particularly if you're grieving. Find the stuff that gives you a little comfort, and please go do those things. Hey, we're back. I wanted to do day 2 of my stitch marker advent. It's come to my attention that on YouTube, December is Vlogmas. Y'all, I'm not doing that this year. I'm happy to be doing this at all. And I am in like the last 2 weeks of my halfway point of my master's degree. So giving myself a daily YouTube video to record and edit and upload is so wildly beyond what I can even begin to comprehend right now. So I'm going to keep going along in my little grieving and knitting process as if I don't know about what's going on in the rest of the YouTube sphere. Because I saw that and I was like, oh no, this is another thing I have to do. So this is current me giving my future self and all of you absolute permission to never feel like you have to do the thing that is catchy or trendy or hashtagged or whatever. Because that just, sometimes we don't have the bandwidth, and that is okay. So here we go. Day 2 of my stitch marker. Oh my God, this is almost, this would make an adorable little earring. It's not, but these are super cute. So this is like a whole little bunch of stitch markers. I feel like I just got a bonus stitch marker in this, and they're all together. So this would be spectacular in a pattern. Like, for example, I am still dutifully knitting away on my Sizzle Pop sweater. But in patterns where like you have a pattern repeat, yeah, it is nice to have stitch markers that are the same for the pattern that you're doing, but then you can also have different colored ones for your end of row, for counting. It is nice to have like a few that look the same for when you're doing something like, you know, I'm going to be, the hem is another repeat of, I think, what's down here. So, and we're really close. We're so close. I've had a somewhat unfocused knitting day, but that's okay. But yes, so day 2, super cute. And I love that there are multiples of the same kind. That is delightful. Back soon. Hello, friends. We are back. I'm going to try to get this episode done and dusted for this week. Like I said, I've decided to not do Vlogmas because it's too much. But I wanted to do, what did Lucia make for this week? This isn't a knitted garment, but my mother was multifaceted and she sewed garments. She made me a whole flower girl dress for my Uncle Colin's wedding, which I think I still have in her house somewhere. I mean, like 3 tiers of lace that were 3 layers thick each. Amazing. But this one, and I'm going to put a picture of me and my big sister featuring this dress. Mom made this for me and I wore it when I was about a year old. She could do anything. She was amazing, but like cute, sweet, adorable little pinafore thing. And there's the picture. I'm going to edit that in, so go with it. If I fail at the editing, we can laugh about this together. Because guess what? I'm learning, guys. And then the other thing that I dug up that Mom made was a little pair of baby booties for baby Bella. This was in Bella's. And like, I don't know how one just whips up baby booties. I don't know. She just whipped these up. One day I'm going to learn. I mean, it looks like maybe they were done in pieces and then she perhaps grafted the bottom, or maybe they were in the round like a sock. I have no freaking idea. But these were little adorable booties that she made for Bellaroo, who is turning 21 in like less than 2 weeks, y'all. And then I wanted to show you, before I show you what I'm working on right now, I had mentioned in the last episode the Beholden shawl, which is also a Knit Graffiti Leslie Ann Robinson design. The Beholden shawl, I think, was a design that she did exclusively for Patreon members. And then maybe it got released to the public. I'm not 100% sure, but it is 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and it's all these different, it's like almost like a pattern sampler where you have garter stitch, and it's kind of like this somewhat like it's fairly symmetrical, but it's like a long, really long, guys, really long stole. And I love this kind of wrap because like sometimes I'll just do it like a scarf like this, you know, under my jacket, super warm and cozy. Or if I'm feeling super fancy, like I'll throw this kind of around my shoulders. I love this shape because it's really cozy, but it's also versatile. Anywho, I got distracted. Where are we? Okay, so garter stitch and then a section of linen stitch. For someone who loves brioche, because linen stitch is a little bit similar where you're still slipping, like you're not working every single stitch, you're slipping. But I did not love working linen stitch. In fact, I kind of hated it. It makes this beautiful fabric. I love the fabric, but there was something, it's a much stiffer fabric. It doesn't have that same squishy, delectable feeling. And while it's beautiful to look at, I did not enjoy working it. That's okay. It was just a small section. I got through it. And then there was a nice lace section. This section is called the unda. Leslie has designed like a couple cowls and a shawl with this brioche design, which I just think is stunning and so beautiful. And the trick with this is that you're alternating the different colors. So like this was the A color, and then you do a B, and then you do the B color, and then you do B and C color. And so you keep, it's 2 colors for the sections, but because there are 3, you keep rotating through them. Then there's this twisted rib, another brioche, I think this is the Sizzle Pop, maybe, but it's a beautiful brioche texture panel. And then this kind of, I think it is called 3-color brioche moss stitch. Don't quote me on that. It could be just the texture tuck stitch. But 3 colors, this one was super challenging. I kept screwing up my stitch counts. Ultimately, I just, at the end, did the increases or decreases or whatever I needed to do to make it work to start the next section. Because, I don't know, I was dysfunctional about something. I don't know. I knitted most of this when we were in Italy with Mom last year. And I actually have a really great, one of my favorite photos of me and Mom. We went to like a pasta dinner that was a fundraiser for our kids' venture crew, for my stepdaughter's venture crew. And Mom was a little bit chilly in the church sanctuary while we were eating our pasta dinner. And so I was like literally finishing the last section. And so I wrapped the long section of the scarf around Mom. And then I'm sitting there in the picture finishing it. I'll put that photo up here. We're going to find out if I can do this. Anywho, so then once you've done this 3-color section, then you go back through the same patterns, but with different color combination. So scrumptious, beautiful. This is totally my palette. Like I wear neutrals like this all the time. And then lace section, a smaller linen stitch, thank God, because I wasn't happy about it. And then you finish with this beautiful just garter stitch in that last color. So this is the Beholden. I am pretty sure, I would need to look up in my Ravelry, but there's Dragon Horde yarns in this one. There is Campfire Knits in this one. I think that they're both the 2 of them are Campfire Knits and one of them is Dragon Horde yarns. I will need to check, but I will link those in the episode comments section. Okay, so I wanted to show you, I finally got in the What Is Mirror actually working on part. Oh, before we get to this, I'm so scattered. My meds have so worn off by this time of day, so oh well. So this was yesterday's Stitch Advent stitch marker. It's a cute little gingerbread dude. And where is today's? Here we go. Whee! I'm actually really enjoying, I'm so glad that I did this, and I'm excited to show, like, to see my kids go through theirs, because it's just that way of like keeping mom in the holiday with me. I'm not sure I even know what these are. You guys, I'm confused. Y'all. Baxter, what are you doing? Does anyone know what these are? Maybe they go like over the needle tips to, I'm not sure what these are. They're very festive. If you have any idea how I'm supposed to use this in my crafting life, I would appreciate your input. Please feel free to throw me a comment. But I don't know. So day 5 is a little bit of a mystery, but I'll figure it out. And that's okay. All right. So speaking of stitch markers, I got the length of my Sizzle Pop sweater, the body length knit. So it's a top-down sweater. So I've knit the yoke, I separated for the sleeves, and then I knit the length of the body, and now I'm working on the hem. And the hem is pattern repeat of this beautiful detail that's up here. So when I did this on the yoke, I didn't actually put stitch markers for the pattern repeats, which was kind of a tragedy, and I should have done that. So I've done that now, but I just want to give you like insight into the ridiculous nature of my brain. So I have these really pretty stitch markers that I got from Circle of Stitches in Salem, Massachusetts. Anna is a phenomenal local yarn store owner, great community. They make beautiful, beautiful yarn called Toil and Trouble. In the first episode of the podcast, I was wearing a Toil and Trouble garment, Joji Locatelli's lounging top. And I made that in Toil and Trouble, which is the hand dyeing company associated with Circle of Stitches. But so anyway, it's kind of a witchy, occulty shop, being in Salem, Massachusetts. But they have these really beautiful stitch markers. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to use all the flowers. And then I got to the other side and I was like, shit, I need 3 more. So now I used my Knit Graffiti stitch markers, which are one of our swaggy things, but it's not distributed equally through my garment. And my OCD is not okay with this. And I'm not, so my actual neurospicy diagnoses are ADHD with a healthy dose of PTSD. And I do not fit the clinical definition of OCD, so I don't want to detract from anyone who is actually living with that diagnosis and the associated struggles. But this is making my brain itch. So I did the first row, brioche row. So it's 1 row or 1 round with the main color, 1 round with the contrast color of the actual stitch pattern. And now I have 1 straight where I just do, bark 1, slip 1 with the yarn in front, and then the same thing with the contrast. Well, it's slightly different, but whatever. So I am actually going to pull these off and resituate them so that I have 8 of the flowers. So we're going to do a knit graffiti, 4 flowers, knit graffiti, 4 flowers, and the last one will be knit graffiti so that it looks tidy and doesn't make my brain hurt. Maybe I think it's shit like this, which is why I've always had that kind of brain block about drafting my own patterns and having, Baxter, what are you doing? My dude. Like having that, I guess, fucklessness of being able to be like, oh, it's wrong. I'm going to keep going because I'm fucking around and finding out. Or maybe this will actually help me be better at drafting patterns because now I'm going back and I'm fixing it. Like from what I've heard from like professional designers is in their, Baxter, please don't bark in the middle of my video. Bax, he's a cattle dog. This is a rage-inducing bark. I'm warning you. I'll put music over it or something in the editing if he loses his mind. But anyway, there is so much ripping back in the design process. And I saw that with mom. Like, she was constantly ripping stuff back because she just wasn't happy with how it turned out, or like the size wasn't quite right or whatever. So maybe that like propensity that I have to just be like, nope, this isn't it, I'm going back and I'm redoing it, will actually lend itself to being better about like creating my own stuff. Man, I get anxious about doing it wrong. And knitting is literally, it's fictitious. It's loops. It's not even knots. It's loops that create this alchemical magic that creates a shape, and there is absolutely nothing permanent about it. You pull the thread and the loops unravel, and there you go. You have not, signed over the soul of your firstborn in blood because you knit something a certain way. I mean, unless you're working with like mohair, when we do the episode where, taking this out so I can do it right, when we get to the episode where I actually go through all of my works in progress and decide what I am in a frog and what I'm actually going to finish, which might become my 2025, like one of my goals. I have so many whips right now, it's a little bit embarrassing. And one of them has a mohair. Frogging mohair. Yeah. I almost want to just finish that sweater, except that I don't love the fabric. Like, I did do a swatch and I was like, oh, it's okay. Do I have it sitting here? I don't think I do. Anyway, and it's such a gorgeous pattern. It's the Milton cardigan by Hohi. And I got beautiful yarn for it, and it should look great, but the color of the mohair stripes, it kind of looks like a dead gerbil or a groundhog or something from a distance. It doesn't have the effect that like I thought it would have. So there's part of me that really wants to just frog what I've done. And I looked at, I'm wearing the wrong glasses to be doing this. Anyway, I looked at the yardage for Knit Graffiti's, it's a fuzzy feathery top. I'll link that one too. And I have enough of the yarn that I got for the Milton to do a feathery fuzzy. And I think that could be really pretty, but I actually do kind of want to swatch that out to see how those two yarns play, because one of them has like alpaca silk, and I'm not sure that yarn has enough structure to hold brioche. Because brioche stitches, like if you look at them, each one has a shawl. I don't know if you can really see that. So brioche tends to stand up best when you have a yarn that has a little bit more structure, like a merino or whatnot. Really slippery yarns can sometimes, they just stretch a little bit too much to have that shawl over each one. I don't know if any of this is making sense, but so yes, like I was actually kind of gaming out, and I'm not sure if my whole channel is just going to be this podcast, or if I actually want to do like podcast episodes and then separate videos, because this is actually kind of fun. I hope you all enjoy it. And I really appreciate everyone who's actually listening and commenting and all of that. But yeah, so I want to go through my whips, decide what I'm frogging, decide what I'm finishing, and then maybe go through my queue in Ravelry. And I know some people don't like using Ravelry, so I would put up a little warning that if you are not compatible with Ravelry, skip over that video. But like go through my queue and actually like be like, yes, I'm really gonna knit this because I have the yarn. And then maybe what I do is then look at the stash and start doing the mom with the unspoken for stash. Because I have bought quite a bit of yarn. Like there's been a lot of yarn therapy as I've been processing my mother's death. And I still need to go through her stash. So that's going to be fun too. But like I bought a lot of yarn with the intention of making specific patterns. And some of them I'm not that into anymore. So, oops. My problem is that I acquire yarn so much faster than I actually knit it. Like I bought this yarn last year for this sweater, so I am doing that right, you know. I did buy a yarn for a particular garment, and here we are, almost done with it. I think this could be done by my birthday, which is the beginning of January. That would be pretty cool to be wearing this in 2025. But yeah, so many questions. I mean, my stash is really ridiculous, and I could do, you can kind of see it's next to, behind the couch, next to the cat stacker is where the yarn stash is. There's a lot of yarn there. There's overflow. You can't see it on the floor, but there's stacks of boxes around that in the middle of our living room because our apartment does not have any closets. Super fun, huh? So yeah, I'm kind of like, maybe I go through my queue and I actually get, you know, like real serious about what am I going to knit? What do I still want to knit? I feel called to knit. I have the yarn for, that stays in the queue. And then we go into the stash and mom's stash and start designing shit as I start going through the, because I mean, it's December already, so I will be ready to do the Knitter's Almanac starting in January. And I may make some of them, like I was looking, this whole episode is turning into what Mira might do. That's okay. I'm not going to knit adult sweaters. I actually do have small sized nieces and nephews still, well, smallish. But I'm not making adult size sweaters in a month. That's just not how I roll. So the Aran sweater that is January really may become like a sweater for my 3.5-year-old niece because that's doable. Although maybe I'll make, oh guys. Okay. Do you like soft-boiled eggs? If you don't, skip forward, this isn't for you. But soft-boiled eggs do best when they have like a little egg koozie on them, you know, like a little warmer thing, because you take them out of the boiling water and you want to like keep them nice and warm so that you're not eating like cold runny yolk. That's gross. Warm runny yolk. Beautiful. I can make the sweaters in this egg koozie sized, which means I'll have to do math for the gauge. I think that's the best idea I've ever had, because then I don't need to completely abandon all the other shit that I actually really, really want to knit. This is a learning experience. I'm learning about garment design. I think we've arrived on something. I also have been thinking very seriously about knitting a ranunculus as one of my next sweaters. If you've ever been on Ravelry and you look at the Hot Right Now, this sweater has been knit by like, I don't know, some 30,000 people. I might be overdoing that number, but it's a ridiculously large number of projects. And I've been staring at this thing for years. And it actually wasn't until I started looking at other people's YouTube videos and seeing the modifications that they've done and the different size, like the different weight of yarn that people use. The first photo image for this sweater, it's a hugely oversized sweater on this very not my body shaped human. So I was like, oh, that's not for me. But as I've looked at like other creators who are knitting this sweater, it's very customizable. So this would be a good kind of gentle easing into, you know, not abandoning the pattern, but like not being a slave to a pattern, you know, not being beholden to the pattern writer, which I have this weird like, oh, but they wrote it this way. But then maybe my body is different and my yarn is different. And yeah, so anyway, I get anxious thinking about it, guys. This is going to be such a growing experience for me because like, I think this is where my experience in my family, I have a much older sister. She left home before my brothers really remember her living with us. So to my brothers, we're kind of like, my parents had the three of us, 3 under 5. And So they really only remember me as the oldest. So I have this experience where I am both an oldest child who is afraid to break the rules, cries at the idea of breaking the rules, needs to follow the rules by the letter of the law unless it doesn't apply to me, because that's that I'm actually a middle child and a younger child who comes in choosing violence every day. So I have this real dichotomy in my brain of like, I'm not going to knit a gauge swatch. You can't make me, but I need to do exactly what the designer says. So you understand the complications I have in my knitting life then, right? I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up. I've showed you some mom stuff. I've showed you a finished garment of mine that I love. I've showed you progress on what I'm doing, and then I've rambled. It's a full episode, right? I think we're doing great. And I've said no Vlogmas this year, but maybe next year. I don't know. I could make it my own. I could do it any way I wanted to. It doesn't have to be every day. I can do what I want. All right. So I'm going to sign off for Dead Knitter Society. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today. And, oh, Kika, this is for you specifically. I get guilty looking at how much you read every month. So here's the deal. I started listening to an audiobook while I've been knitting so that I can both knit and read, because you also opened me up to the idea of audiobooks. This is you specifically. I just need you to know how much you influence my life and how much you mean to me in general. So if you're feeling guilty about not knitting right now, you specifically who I'm talking to, or anyone else out in the YouTubeosphere, don't feel guilty. If it moves you, do it. We're just embracing that we are all just cucumbers with a lot of anxiety, okay? And we can do difficult things that make us anxious, like knit or read or do both at the same time, because audiobooks are cool that way. All right, I'm signing off. Be well, move forward with love, and I will see you in the next one.